القدس تنادينا، القدس تنادينا، القدس تنادينا، قدس تنادي، قدس تنادي، قدس تنادينا. يا بيت القدس لنا أمل، ستعود القدس لأمتنا، ونطهر ساحتك العذراء، وننشر فوقك رايتنا، ننشر فوقك رايتنا. القدس تنادينا، القدس تنادينا. القدس لنا أمل، ستعود القدس لأمتنا، ونطهر ساحتك العذراء، وننشر فوقك رايتنا، ننشر فوقك رايتنا. القدس تنادينا، القدس تنادينا. أبناء فلسطين صبرا، فالله ينفس كربتنا، ستعود لنا قدس دارا، وتعود لنا قدس وطنا. أبناء فلسطين صبرا، فالله ينفس كربتنا، ستعود لنا قدس دارا، وتعود لنا قدس وطنا. ما جاء الليل بحلكته إلا والفجر وتابسنا. يا قدس 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 يا بيت القدس.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والعاقبة للمتقين، ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله إله الأولين والآخرين، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله، بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة، وجاهد في سبيل الله حق جهاده، وتركنا على المحجة البيضاء ليلها كنهارها، لا يزيغ عنها إلا هالك. فصلوات ربي وسلامه عليه وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته، ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة، وخلق منها زوجها، وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء، واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام، إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا، يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم، ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. وبعد، فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله تعالى، وخير الهدى هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، وشر الأمور محدثاتها، وكل محدثة بدعة، وكل بدعة ضلالة، وكل ضلالة في النار. My respected brothers and sisters in Islam, once Umar got together with a group of companions. Once Umar radiallahu anhu was with a group of companions, and he came up to them and he said, make a wish. He said, oh people, make a wish. And the people said, what will we ask for? So Umar continued and he said, make a wish, just make a wish, Allah khalik, just make a wish. And so some of the companions, one of them said, I wish this whole mosque, I wish this whole room was full of gold so that I could give it in the path of Allah, so that I could give it in sadaqah in the path of Allah. And another one said, I wish that this whole room in this big mosque was full of beautiful gems and pearls and precious gems, so that I could give it in the path of Allah. And then Umar said, listen to this man, the wise man of this ummah, Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu. He said, as for me, I wish that this room was full of people like the companions of Rasulullah. I wish this room, this mosque was full of people like the companions of Rasulullah, like Abu Ubaidah, like Mu'adh ibn Jabal, like Salim, Mawla Hudayfa, and he mentioned a couple more, so that I can rely on them and that I can raise the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by resting on their shoulders. Look at what Umar wished for. Look at what Umar wished for. He truly knew what the value of every country is. The value of every country is not in its natural resources. It is not in its financial resources. It is not in the greatness of its economy. It is truly in the number of its true men that live in that country. The true men, the men who can really be called men. This is the true value of every single country. And these men, brothers and sisters in Islam, I am sure you will agree with me, these men are truly more precious than any gold and any silver and any gems and any pearls. Many countries, brothers and sisters in Islam, have lots of armor. They have weapons. They have armor. But what is that good without true men leading it and using it? Many countries, they have a lot of education and knowledge, but what is the good of it without men teaching the people, without true men taking this knowledge and then imparting it? Many people, many countries have great projects that they do. They build huge things. They do wonders in this world. But what is the use without men leading these projects? And what good, brothers and sisters in Islam, is every nation that has the best of armor, how can this ever, and the best of armies, how can this ever compare with the heart of a soldier? And what about education and knowledge? What if a country has the best of education and the best of knowledge, but how can that ever compare with the spirit of a teacher? And what about the greatest of projects that the people have, that countries have, the greatest of mashari', the best projects that they do? But how can that ever compare with the zeal and the enthusiasm with those people who truly carry it out, with the volunteers who work for it? Brothers and sisters in Islam, truly the value of every nation, the value of every people, and this is what history says, is not by its wealth. MashaAllah, the Muslims had great wealth, but that was not the reason why they were so great. The reason, brothers and sisters, why they were so great was because they had men who could move mountains. They had men who could cut through the sea. They had men for which the windows and the doors of the sky would open up for them. And subhanallah, it is for this reason why there is an authentic and beautiful hadith in the Sahih of Bukhari radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. May Allah be pleased with Imam Bukhari. And this hadith is in the chapter of Janazah. In the chapter of Janazah. And in the time of Walid bin Marwan, in the lifetime of Umar bin Abdul Aziz, there was a small earthquake. Naam, listen to me. There was a small earthquake in Medina. And because of this earthquake, the grave of Rasulullah ﷺ and the rooftop on the top of the grave of Rasulullah fell down. Yes, this is an authentic hadith in Sahih al-Bukhari. It states that there was the roof that was on top of the grave of Rasulullah fell down, came crashing down. And then when it crashed down, suddenly a pair of legs became visible. Suddenly a pair of legs became visible. And the people became very amazed. And the people saw that and they thought that was the leg of Rasulullah. As the hadith states, that Umar bin Abdul Aziz, he became bewildered. He was bewildered. He couldn't understand, are these the legs of Rasulullah or what? And then Abdullah ibn Zubair, he said, no, these are the legs of Umar. These are the legs of Umar, meaning that the grave, when the roof had fallen on the grave, it had cracked the grave of Umar and his legs were shown. How many years was it since the death of Umar? Tell me how many years? 30 years. More than that. And the grave had not eaten his body. An authentic hadith in Bukhari. Check it out. In the chapter of Janazah. In the chapter of Janazah, listen to what he said. He said his legs were shown, and these are the legs of Umar. How can the earth eat up a man who was a true man? How can the earth eat up a man? For when Umar was alive, the earth would tremble at the mere sound of Umar's feet. How can it now eat up Umar? No, it truly cannot. Do you not see how great Umar was? How a true man he was? Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he states in authentic hadith in Tirmidhi, he says, مَا زِلْنَا أَعِزَّةً. We have never ceased to be honored. We have never ceased to be powerful since the Islam of Umar. We have never ceased to be powerful since the Islam of Umar. And it is for this reason why Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam had made dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Oh Allah, please me, make Islam stronger by the Islam of either one of these two people. And he mentioned Umar and he mentioned Abu Jahl. My brothers and sisters in Islam, describe Umar to me. Describe Umar to me. How was Umar? He was a tall man. The companions say that he was a tall man until when if he would walk between the people, you could see him because he was so tall. And he was bald. Not completely bald, but very bald. He was tall, he was bald, and was he fat? Was he fat? No, he wasn't fat. He was very, very, very thin. Very, very, very thin. He didn't have any six packs. He didn't bodybuild. He wasn't a Mr. Universe, but he was a true man. Because true men are not described by these criteria. These are not the criteria to describe who true men are, brothers and sisters in Islam. These things which we have set up for ourselves, by saying the people who are more stronger, by saying people who are more beautiful. If you can enter yourself in the 10 most sexiest people, as they say, then you are truly a man. As the women say, oh, what a man. And the legs go weak thinking about this man. This is what people think is a man. But Umar was none of this. The women would run away when Umar would come. They wouldn't say, oh, what a man. They would run away. Isn't that true? Subhanallah, they would run away. And the shaitan would run away. The Imam al-Mufsideen, the Imam of the fitna causes, shaitan himself would run away and take a different path. Such was Umar, a true man. A true man. And don't you remember how Umar, when he had accepted Islam, what did he do? He had a shower. Then he prayed. Then he went to the Kaaba and he made tawaf. And he said, if there is anyone amongst you, he said in a narration reported by Ibn al-Athir in his book, he mentioned that Umar said, if there is anyone amongst you, if there is anyone amongst you who wants to make his mother cry, who wants to orphan his child, who wants to widow his wife, then let him follow me behind this valley. Follow me if you would, if you dare. This is Umar. My brothers and sisters in Islam, Umar was not strong. He wasn't a superhuman. But what he had is strength of character and strength of iman. And this is true manhood. This is true rujula. This is the rujula that is missing in our ummah. MashaAllah, we have 1 billion people. 500 million men. Where are the true men amongst them? Where are the true men amongst them? Show me, please. I want to see them. Because looking at them is ibadah. Speaking to them is ibadah. Being in their presence is ibadah to Allah. Because truly this religion has not been sent except upon the shoulders of men like Umar and his example. Brothers and sisters in Islam, when Khalid bin Walid, when he was conquering Hira, and this was a town of Hira, when he was conquering Hira, and he had circled it and surrounded it. And Hira was one of the most fortified towns ever known at that time. He sent to Abu Bakr at that time, he sent a messenger to Abu Bakr and said, oh Abu Bakr, I need help. He said, I need reinforcements. Guess what Abu Bakr did? Guess what Abu Bakr did? This wise man, he sent only one person. He sent one person. And this man, his name was Qaqa ibn Amr at-Tamimi. And there is difference amongst the ulama whether Qaqa was a companion or not. Allah knows best. The most correct opinion is he was not a companion, he was a tabi'i. Allah knows best. As Al-Baghawi mentions in Asad al-Ghaba. Anyhow, in Al-Isaba. We continue. Qaqa ibn Amr at-Tamimi was the only person that Abu Bakr sent to this army. If, my brothers and sisters in Islam, if the greatest general on this earth was sending a risala, a message to his commander-in-chief and saying, I need help, and the only help they sent was one man, what would you say? This guy's lost it. What are you doing? This is madness. You can't win a war with one man. But Abu Bakr said, Naam, I am sending you the equivalent of 1,000 men, he wrote in the message. And he said, the very voice of Qaqa ibn Amr at-Tamimi, the very sawt, his very voice is better than 1,000 men. And another time, when Amr ibn al-As, when he was conquering Egypt at the time of Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he said, Umar, I need madad, I need help. And so Umar wrote back to him, I am sending you 4,000 men. How many did he send? He sent 4. He sent Miqdad, and he sent Maslama, and he sent Az-Zubair, and he sent Ubaidah ibn Samit. These are the 4 men only that he sent. And he wrote in the letter, I am sending you the equivalent of 4,000 men. My brothers and sisters, we're not talking about war. No, this is not what I'm talking about. I am talking about manhood. I'm talking about how can a single man be worth 1,000 men? How is this ever possible? How can a single man, and you're all men here, if none of you are feeling something in your heart, some shame in your heart, or some anger in your heart, then truly there's something wrong. Go to the doctor tomorrow. Let him check you out. Have an ECG. Make sure it's working well. Brothers and sisters in Islam. Brothers and sisters in Islam. True manhood is truly as scarce as the salt in the food. You see how the salt in the food is so little? In the same way are true men, so very few. And that is why Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in an authentic hadith in Bukhari, he said, true men are as scarce as the riding camel amongst the hundreds of camels. As you know, the Arabs have camels, and not all of them are suitable for riding. Most of them are suitable for milk and for meat, but only some of them are suitable for riding because most of them are too angry. And so Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he gave the example that true men are as scarce to find just as the riding beast amongst the hundreds of camels in the ocean of camels there. My brothers and sisters in Islam, not only in the time of the companions, but in the time thereafter, we find beautiful examples of manhood. Beautiful examples of manhood. In fact, are there brothers over here from Yugoslavia? Are there brothers from Bosnia? Anyone here? Probably, perhaps you're too shy to say. But do you know that you owe your Islam after Allah and after Rasulullah ﷺ to Tariq bin Ziyad? This hero of Islam known as Tariq bin Ziyad, do you know his story? Let me tell you his story. Tariq bin Ziyad was a great general of Islam. And he landed on the shores of Europe with 12,000 men. And King Roderick, who was the king of Spain at that time, he met Tariq bin Ziyad with 100,000 Visigoth Christians. How much army did Tariq bin Ziyad have? 12,000. Do you know what Tariq bin Ziyad did when he saw the 100,000 lined up in front of him, the 100,000 enemy? He said, you Muslims, burn the boats. He said, burn the boats. And so all the boats were burnt. In front of their eyes, the boats were burnt. Naam. In front of their eyes, the boats were burnt. And so he told the people, so, oh people, there is either death by drowning or death by fighting, or victory in front of us. Make your choice. Make your choice. Look at the manhood. I am amazed at this. Isn't it amazing? 12,000 against 100,000 people? That is truly amazing. Truly, truly amazing. What about, and then what happened? Tariq bin Ziyad, alhamdulillah, by the grace of Allah, he defeated them. Took over Spain, took over most of France, took over a lot of Sicily, and spread and went deep into Europe until he took over all those areas that we now call Yugoslavia, Macedonia and others, where there are so many ample Muslims nowadays. Because of this batal, because of this hero and his heroism, and truly understanding that we men have a lot of energy, we men have a lot of potential. Our potential is limitless. Our potential is only limited by our minds. Our potential is only limited by our weak iman. Our potential is only limited by our weak goals. Our potential is only limited by our lack of understanding of the reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us. By a lack of understanding of the ability that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. Without doubt, brothers and sisters, we can also achieve this. We can also be true men. Nowadays, brothers, when they want to prove their manhood, what do? Slap their women. They hit their women. We hear of wife bashing so much, and they think that this is a sign of manhood. They think that having more muscles and more bumps on your body is a sign of manhood. They think that having more car, or having more, having a nice car and driving around the road fast and having a nice suit and better perfume is a sign of manhood. Rather, it is not a sign of manhood, brothers and sisters in Islam. This is not the sign of manhood. This is not manhood, brothers and sisters in Islam. People think that age is a sign of manhood. They think that when you get older, you become a true man. This is not the sign of manhood. Once an Arab came to a Khalifa, in the time of the Umayyad Khalifas, an Arab from the desert came to the Khalifa at that time. And so the Khalifa said, "Oh, so and so, let the more older person amongst you speak." He said, "Oh, so and so, let the more older person amongst you speak." Do you know what this Arab wise boy said? He said, "Oh Khalifa, oh respected Khalifa, truly if wisdom was to do with age, truly if manhood was to do with age, then there will be others more worthy of being Khalifa than you." MashaAllah. This is manhood, brothers and sisters. This is the strength of character that we are talking about. And once, as also been reported by Bukhari in a mu'allaq form, as has been reported that Abdullah ibn Zubair, who was a small boy at the time of Umar. At the time of Umar, in his lifetime, Abdullah ibn Zubair was a small young boy. He was playing with some little boys, and Umar came amongst them. And so the other boys got afraid and they ran away. As you know, people will get afraid when they see Umar. And so the other little boys ran away, whereas Abdullah ibn Zubair stayed in his spot. And he stayed in his spot. The smart aleck, he stayed in his spot. And so Umar went up to him and said, "Hey, why didn't you run away? Why didn't you run away?" And he goes, "Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, I never did nothing wrong. What did I do? I didn't do anything wrong. And the road is big enough for you and me. Just pass on." SubhanAllah, look at the manhood that even little children had. And this is why Abdullah ibn Zubair became the Khalifa. And he became the Khalifa after the death of Yazid for how many years, brothers? For 9 years. A righteous companion becoming the Khalifa after Yazid ibn Muawiyah for 9 years. This was Abdullah ibn Zubair, who was later killed by Hajjaj and others. That is a different story. But SubhanAllah, brothers and sisters in Islam, look at the manhood that these companions had. And what about the example? What about the example of the children of the Muslims in the areas in which the enemies of Islam have conquered? Have you seen, for example, the fact that when the bulldozers come and they come and destroy the houses in Palestine, how the little children, they are little children, 5 to 10 years old, with stones in their hands, rushing with stones. They're going to fight these mighty machines of metal. They wake up in the morning, their father's been taken away, their mother's been raped, and the sister's been killed, and their brother's been killed. They wake up in the morning with only one goal, that they want to free Palestine. And they wake up in the morning, they tie their shoelace, and they find their slingshot, find a good stone, go out, find a tank, say Bismillah, and they let it go. I'm not talking, brothers and sisters, about this. I'm not talking whether children should be doing this. No. By ijma' of the ulama, children should never be fighting. By complete consensus of the ulama, children should not be fighting. But my question to you is this. How shameful is it that our children have to do this? How shameful is it? Secondly, my second question to you is this. Look at the courage that little children have. Look at the courage little children have. They don't fear anything but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is the rujula that I'm talking about, my brothers and sisters. Manhood that I'm talking about. Strength of character, strength of iman. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes to us those men who can truly be called men. Those men who can be truly called men, and He says, رِجَالٌ لَا تُلْهِيهِمْ تِجَارَةٌ وَلَا بَيْعٌ عَنْ ذِكْرِ اللَّهِ وَإِقَامِ الصَّلَاةِ وَإِيتَاءِ الزَّكَاةِ يَخَافُونَ يَوْمًا تَتَقَلَّبُ فِيهِ الْقُلُوبُ وَالْأَبْصَارِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes these men and says, these men are the following. رِجَالٌ لَا تُلْهِيهِمْ تِجَارَةٌ وَلَا بَيْعٌ عَنْ ذِكْرِ اللَّهِ. These are men who are not distracted by buying and selling in commerce from the dhikr of Allah, from mentioning Allah, from gaining knowledge like you are doing today, from gaining knowledge. وَإِقَامِ الصَّلَاةِ, and establishing the prayer. وَإِيتَاءِ الزَّكَاةِ, and paying the zakat. يَخَافُونَ يَوْمًا تَتَقَلَّبُ فِيهِ الْقُلُوبُ وَالْأَبْصَارِ. They fear a day in which the hearts and the eyesight will be turned away. Subhanallah. When the heart will be turned upside down, when the eyesight will be turned upside down, inside out, they fear this day. These are the true men, brothers and sisters. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also says, وَعِبَادُ الرَّحْمَنِ الَّذِينَ يَمْشُونَ عَلَى الْأَرْضِ حَوْنًا وَإِذَا خَاطَبَهُمُ الْجَاهِلُونَ قَالُوا سَلَامًا. And the slaves, the true slaves of Allah, the true men, are those who walk on this earth hawnan, mutawadi'an. Yani they walk on this earth in tranquility, in composure, not being frivolous, not walking down the road and with loud voices, not calling names, not spreading rumors. They're not like women talking about everything and anything. No, rather, they walk on the streets like hawna. وَإِذَا خَاطَبَهُمُ الْجَاهِلُونَ. And when the ignorant ones speak to them, call to them, lie about them, joke about them, scold them, mock them, etc., swear at them, قَالُوا سَلَامًا. They move away and say what? Peace. I am a fasting man. Inni imru'un sa'im, for example. And they move off. This is manhood. Anger management is manhood, brothers and sisters in Islam. Anger management, controlling your anger, directing your anger in that which is right, is truly manhood, brothers and sisters in Islam. How few are the people who do that. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues and He describes Muhammadun Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Muhammadun sallallahu alayhi wa sallam Rasulullah. He is the messenger of Allah. وَالَّذِينَ مَعَهُ, those who are with Him. Inshallah, may Allah make us those with Him. May Allah make us from those who are with Him. Those who are with Him. أَشِدَّاءُ عَلَى الْكُفَّارِ رُحَمَاءُ بَيْنَهُمْ. They are severe and harsh with the disbelievers and loving and kind with the believers. This is something which we have also forgotten. My brothers and sisters in Islam, manhood, if I want to summarize it, I will use only one sentence and one phrase, and that is strength of character and strength of iman. If you truly wish to be a man, if you truly wish to have value in your life, if you truly wish to have value in your society, if you truly wish to be from those people who truly are worthy of the title of man, then truly, my brothers and sisters in Islam, you must have strength of iman and strength of character. You must not be from those people who are easily taken away by the distractions of this world. Subhanallah, how many times do I hear from people telling me, oh brother Tawfique, can I work and at the same time lie to Centrelink? And so how many times, they say, and how many times have I been asked this question, oh Tawfique, can I work and lie to Centrelink about my work and so that I can, get a little bit of chump change, a little bit of money, so I can get my Rexy? Subhanallah. Look at what they ask. What a shameful question. How can Muslim men ask this question? How can Muslim men ask this question? What is up with men that they have lowered their value so much? We are the A'azza al-Qawm. We are the most honored of people on this mankind. We are the most honored of people. How can we lower ourselves? How can we compete with each other to be the lowest of the lowest? Rather, we should compete with each other to be the highest of the highest. How can people even ask this question? How can you even ask this question? You are a man. Allah has given you 2 hands and 1 mouth. That's why you don't have to work double, you just have to work once. 2 hands, 1 mouth to feed. So brothers and sisters in Islam, understanding this issue of manhood is of true importance. Because as I said, we have 500 million men, but we hardly have true men. And if these 500 million men truly became true men, then wallahi, the world would be a much safer place to live in. The world would be a nicer place to live in. The world would be a more ideal place to live in. The world would be a more perfect place to live in. Try and understand this fact. How can we raise ourselves so that we can also move the mountains, and so that we can also split the seas, and so that we can also cause the sky to be rent asunder? How can we do this? Truly by strength of character and strength of Iman, brothers and sisters in Islam. We cannot do this by showing our manhood through false characteristics, false criteria that people have set up. Beauty is not a sign of manhood. Beauty is not a sign of manhood. Ability and physical strength is not a sign of manhood. Rather, strength is a sign of manhood. Anger is not a sign of manhood. Rather, controlling your anger is a sign of manhood. Good character is a sign of manhood. Bad character is a sign of a weak person. Not of a person who truly was a true man. Let me, towards the end, and I don't want to take too long because it's already very late, let me move into an important last point, and that is, how do we raise our children to be true men? Our time has come and perhaps it is passing. Our time has come and perhaps it is passing. But let's take our advantage, let's take out this chance. Let's take this beautiful chance to raise our children upon true manhood and making sure that they are the men which we could not be. That they are the men which we were not. First and foremost, brothers and sisters in Islam, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had something very, very beautiful. He used to call little children by their kunyas. He wouldn't call them by their first names. He wouldn't say, oh Muhammad, oh Tawfique, oh Ihsan, or this and that. No. He wouldn't use the first names. Do you know what he would use? He would use kunyas. Don't you see what Rasulullah ﷺ said to Abu Umair? And Abu Umair, and this narration is reported by Bukhari in a mu'allaq form, and this is connected by Ibn Hajar in Taghliq al-Ta'liq, and is authentic. He said that Rasulullah ﷺ came to Umair, to this little boy, and he had a small bird. And a small bird in Arabic is called what? Nughair. A small bird in Arabic is called Nughair. And this Nughair was being naughty. This little bird was being naughty. He was trying to fly out. So Rasulullah ﷺ came to Abu Umair and said, Ya Abu Umair, ma fa'al al-Nughair. You might have heard of this. Ya Abu Umair, ma fa'al al-Nughair. But look, he called him what? He called him Abu Umair. And another narration, authentic narration, Bukhari as well, in mu'allaq form as well. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam was presented a beautiful piece of clothing, a piece of clothing, a nice piece of clothing from a person who had given him a gift. And so he said, bring Kulthum. He said, bring Kulthum here. Do you know who Kulthum was? Do you know who she was? She was a small baby of one of the companions. A small baby, just giving birth. And Rasulullah already called her what? Kulthum, mother of Kulthum. And he called this little boy what? Abu Umair, father of Umair. Do you know how it changes the psychology of the little children when you call him father of so-and-so? Do You see how it makes them feel? Try it. Try it with your child. Try it with your little brother. SubhanAllah, when you call him, oh father, or this and that, they say, what? I'm not a father. But when you start saying them, you will see them changing. You're a father, remember you're a father. You can't be naughty now. Yeah, Abu Hamza. Your name's Abu Hamza, for example. Abu Hamza. If I call you Abu Hamza, you'll see the children changing. And Rasulullah always used to call little children by their kunyas. This is something small, but this is something significant. Something small but significant. That's one. Secondly, is by respecting their rights and by giving them responsibilities. How many times do we see, for example, a little child in the first row? He bothered to come to the mosque in time and make it in the first row, and we see people coming late and saying, go back. We see people pushing them back. How do you think this little child is feeling? Say, this is my right, isn't it? Now, the person who comes first is his right, isn't it? So he came first, he wants to pray, let him pray. Rather we push him back. No, rather, brothers and sisters, respect the children, respect their rights, and you will see them having respect for themselves, growing up as individuals who respect themselves and having this manhood inside them. That is why Rasulullah ﷺ, in an authentic hadith in Bukhari, Rasulullah ﷺ once came up to a gathering, and he was given a bowl of milk to drink, of goat's milk. And he drank a little bit of goat milk, and then after that, he saw to his right was a young boy, and to his left was an old man. And so he asked this young boy, an authentic hadith in Bukhari, it states that Rasulullah ﷺ asked this young boy and said, oh so and so, ya waladi, oh little boy, do you permit me to give this milk to the old person first? And this young boy said, no ya Rasulullah. He said, no ya Rasulullah. Naam. And so Rasulullah smiled and he gave the milk to the young boy first, because obviously you go from the right. Imagine that, respecting the rights of the children. Now imagine this boy, don't you think he's going to also give the rights to the people when he grows old? Naam, subhanallah, very, very important, very, very important. Another important thing, brothers and sisters in Islam, is to tell them the stories of the heroes of Islam, is to tell them the stories of the great heroes, the abtal of Islam, the great stories of the great salaf and the great pious predecessors. Tell them the stories, how they were true men, how they did not need to prove their manhood by feminine things, by becoming effeminate. MashaAllah, today, if we wear tight jeans and we're tight, I'm sorry I'm shaking my body like that, but that's what it is, isn't it? When you shake your body like that, that's manhood. Haven't you seen the brothers, the brothers in America, for example, hey man, the bigger you are, the more you can move, and that's manhood, isn't it? Subhanallah. We see a time in which tight pants and tight t-shirts, subhanallah, is a sign of the number of bumps on his body, and so a sign of how good a man he is. And wallahi, I don't have to talk about Sydney, I'm talking about Medina. I'm talking about Medina, man. I've been living there for the last 6 years. And once you go down Sultana Street, where all these KFCs and Hardee's and McDonald's and everything, all halal, mashallah. When you go down there, you see them, mashallah, men. They are men, boys, in the most, in things, subhanallah, that we would not even, I don't know what to say, in the things even women don't wear in this country, and they're wearing. And they're wearing the tightest of white pants. Right? They don't want to wear white thobes anymore, but the whitest of white pants and tightest of tight. And they're thin and skinny, like a toothpick. Subhanallah. And they think that this is a sign of manhood. Do you see how the scales have been switched? Do you see how our criteria have been changed? He is supposed to be a man, and me in my thobe, walking down with my gutra on my head. And he's laughing at me, whereas I'm laughing at him. Amazing, isn't it? He thinks that I'm not a man and he's a man, whereas truly this ignorant man doesn't know how foolish he is, how much a man he is not. I am only giving examples, brothers. I'm not talking about dress, but I'm talking about the mentality. I'm talking about the ideology. I'm talking about the understanding that has been corrupted and has been manifested in many ways, and from them is their change of clothing. It's from them is their change of lifestyle. From them is them trying to be like women. Like for example, take their beard off, make it nice and shiny, and it's more slick and more smooth than even a newborn baby's back. Subhanallah. is this manhood? This is not manhood, brothers and sisters. We know of stories. I'm not talking about any brother in the group, so don't be embarrassed, okay? We are men. We are men. Don't be embarrassed. Don't be embarrassed. Rather change your heart. If something that I'm talking about affects you, then don't be embarrassed. Rather say, nah, that's it. Brother's right, I'm going to change. That's how it's going to be. Okay, don't be embarrassed. We're not women who say, oh, yeah, he's right and all that. No, we're going to change ourselves. Okay? And so, this is another sign. And we know of companions of the Rasulullah ﷺ and many of the Salaf or the pious predecessors who had poems. They used to write poems of how they wished they could buy a beard. Meaning that they could not grow much. As you know, many countries, people can't grow much beard, can they? And they would write poems about how to buy a beard. They wish they could buy a beard because, of course, at that time, beard was a sign of manhood. Beard was a sign of manhood, and so should it be now as well, because that is the sunnah of Rasulullah ﷺ and the sunnah of the best of mankind, the companions of Rasulullah ﷺ. From them, brother and sister in Islam, is from teaching the kids manhood is also something which is easily forgotten, and that is to toughen your kid up. Toughen your child up. I know, mashallah, he is the apple of your eye. He is the heartbeat of your heart. I know that. You don't have to tell me. I have children too. I love them more than anything else. However, if you are a wise man, if you're a wise parent, then you will know that the world outside is not as nice as you are. It is not as comforting as you are. The world is full of hardship. So toughen your child up. Toughen them up. Don't put them all these luxuries, mashallah. We have the most beautiful of beds, we buy them, and the most nicest of dunas, and the most softest of pillows, and we buy them the nicest of clothes, every day new clothes. Subhanallah, what do you think this child is going to grow up thinking? He is going to grow up thinking that this life is a bed of roses. He's going to think that everything is so easy. Everything, my mom will be there. Everything will be spoon-fed to me. My bed will be full of rose petals and then rose syrup, mashallah. It's going to smell nice. No, this is not the reality. This is not the reality, brothers. Toughen them up. And it is for this reason why Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he used to say, teach your children horse riding. He used to say what? Teach your children horse riding, and teach them how to shoot arrows, archery, and teach them swimming, and teach them poetry. SubhanAllah, make them men. Because when you swim and you get confidence that you can float, and you have confidence, and it actually affects your soul, and it actually affects your psychology and your character. When you're riding a horse, you're controlling an animal bigger than you. This also increases your strength of character and your fear, removes the fear in your heart. My child in Medina, since he was 3 years old, he has been riding a horse every single day. Naam. A white horse, and he still says, Baba, let's go back to that horse. We don't have horses now here. We only have ponies. When they see the child, they say, no, we can't put him on a big horse. No, but this is, look at it, brothers and sisters in Islam. It is not the fact that we're talking about riding horses, but the fact that we're talking about how to build their character, how to make them true men, how to realize and strengthen their character. And really, when you show them that they can control a horse, they can control an animal 10 times bigger than them, then truly you will see that they will be able to control their anger and control other people and be a leader in the community, not be a follower, not be an Indian, rather be the chief. Right. And the last thing that I wanted to talk about regarding how to make men out of our children is to teach them manners. Is to teach them manners, and the best way, brothers and sisters in Islam, is for you to be an example. How do you wish for your child to be a man when you're not a man? Do you want your child to grow up thinking that you are effeminate, that you're feminine somehow? No. If you wish your child to be of strong character, so must you also be of strong character. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bring back this true manhood to this ummah, just as He had bestowed this upon the companions of Rasulullah ﷺ and those after him. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make the 500 million men of this ummah realize their potential, their greatness, their ability, their strength, and to let them not limit themselves by their lack of goals, by the lack of understanding, by the lack of motivation, and by the lack of knowledge about their own capacity and their own ability. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless this ummah and make the ummah shine just as it has done before. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Subhanallah Allahumma wa bihamdik ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.